There's a difference between liking a house and actually getting it. Redfin is built to make up that difference and close the gap between finding and owning the home for you. Redfin agents close twice as many deals as other agents. So when you find a home you love, you're not a step behind when it comes to making an offer. That means less watching great homes disappear and more focus on the one you'll call home. Redfin helps turn saved listings into real addresses. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
Hey listeners, this is Peter and welcome back to the History Shorts. Today's episode is brought to you by the Podcast Republic, your ultimate listening app. Discover and subscribe to thousands of podcasts from around the world. Download Podcast Republic today, available on Google Play and the Apple App Store. Today on History Shorts. If you imagine the Underground Railroad as a set of hidden tunnels beneath the earth, well then you're not alone. The name itself suggests locomotives, tracks, and secret stations. But the Underground Railroad was not a railroad at all. It was in fact a loose, dangerous, and deeply human network built by free black communities, formerly enslaved people, religious activists, and ordinary citizens, all working quietly to help enslaved men, women, and children escape bondage. And for those who traveled its hidden paths, every step north was a gamble between freedom and capture. This is the story of the Underground Railroad, and not as a myth, but as a lived history. Our history brief returns to the History Shorts Conversation Series Vault and a conversation with Pulitzer Prize finalist Max Boot. A quick word from our sponsors.
Support for the show comes from Public, the investing platform for those who take it seriously. On Public, you can build a multi-asset portfolio of stocks, bonds, options, crypto, and now generated assets, which allow you to turn any idea into an investable index with AI. It all starts with your prompt. From renewable energy companies with high free cash flow to semiconductor suppliers growing revenue over 20% year over year, you can literally type any prompt and put the AI to work. It screens thousands of stocks, builds a one-of-a-kind index, and lets you backtest it against the S&P 500. Then you can invest in a few clicks. Generated assets are like ETFs with infinite possibilities, completely customizable and based on your thesis, not someone else's. Go to public.com/podcast and earn an uncapped 1% bonus when you transfer your portfolio. That's public.com/podcast. Paid for by Public Investing. Brokerage services by Open to the Public Investing Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services by Public Advisors LLC, SEC registered advisor. Generated assets is an interactive analysis tool. Output is for informational purposes only and is not an investment recommendation or advice. Complete disclosures available at public.com/disclosures.
This day in history. On March 11th, 1918, the first confirmed cases of the influenza pandemic appeared among American soldiers, signaling the start of a global health crisis that would claim millions of lives. On March 11th, 2011, a massive earthquake and tsunami struck Japan, triggering the Fukushima nuclear disaster and reshaping global debates over nuclear energy and disaster preparedness. Story of the day. By the early 19th century, slavery defined much of the American South. Millions of people were held in bondage, while northern states, though far from free of racism, increasingly abolished slavery and became centers of abolitionist activism. Escaping slavery was nothing new. Enslaved people had resisted, fled, and fought for freedom long before the term Underground Railroad ever existed. But as abolitionist networks expanded, a more organized system of assistance began to emerge. Informal, decentralized, and constantly shifting. Participants borrowed railroad language as code. Safe houses became stations. Guides were conductors. And those seeking freedom were often called passengers. The secrecy was essential. Helping someone escape slavery violated federal law and could cost a person their livelihood, or even their life. Despite popular mythology, the Underground Railroad was not led by a single hero. It was sustained primarily by African American communities, both free and formerly enslaved, who risked everything to help others reach safety. Among its most famous figures was Harriet Tubman, a formerly enslaved woman who returned repeatedly to the South to guide others north. Tubman's courage became legendary. She later recalled that she never ran her train off the track. But Tubman was only one part of a much larger story. Black churches, mutual aid societies, and ordinary families formed the backbone of the network, both white and black. White abolitionists also played roles, including Quakers and religious reformers who saw slavery as a moral evil. There was no single route north. Some escaped through forests and mountains, others hid in wagons or traveled by boat. Many moved at night, guided by the North Star, a celestial marker that became a symbol of hope. Cities like Philadelphia, Cincinnati, and Detroit became key crossroads where local networks helped fugitives rest before moving onward. For some, the journey ended in northern states. But after the passage of the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850, even free states became dangerous. The law allowed slave catchers to operate nationwide and punished anyone who assisted fugitives. As a result, many freedom seekers continued beyond the United States, into Canada, where American laws could not reach them. The Underground Railroad was not romantic. It was exhausting, terrifying, and uncertain. Families were separated. Journeys took months or years. Many who attempted escape were captured and then returned to much harsher conditions. Advertisements for runaway enslaved people filled Southern newspapers, offering rewards for capture. Slave catchers, sometimes working alongside local authorities, hunted fugitives relentlessly. And even in the North, racism and violence remained constant threats. The Underground Railroad did not erase those dangers. It simply helped people navigate them. Popular stories often describe elaborate codes hidden in quilts or secret tunnels beneath houses. While a few hiding places existed, including concealed rooms or cellars, historians caution against romanticizing the network as a vast secret infrastructure. In reality, it relied more on trust, improvisation, and human relationships. Word of mouth, church connections, and quiet acts of courage. Thus, it was less a formal system than a living network, one that changed constantly to avoid detection. One of the most powerful accounts of escape on the Underground Railroad comes from Frederick Douglass, who fled slavery in 1838. Douglass later described the moment of crossing into freedom as both exhilarating and uncertain, a reminder that escape did not instantly erase hardship. He became a leading voice against slavery, using his own experience to challenge Americans to confront the reality of bondage. His writings, along with those of countless others, reveal the emotional weight of the Underground Railroad and pretty much tell us what it was like back then to travel on it. As the Underground Railroad expanded, tensions between North and South deepened. Southern slaveholders viewed it as theft, a direct attack on property rights. Abolitionists saw it as a moral resistance against an unjust system. Each successful escape exposed a growing divide between a nation built on ideals of liberty and a society still bound to slavery. Today, historic sites across the United States and Canada preserve fragments of that story. Homes, churches, and landscapes that once served as quiet waypoints on a journey toward freedom. The History Brief. Today we return to the History Shorts Conversations Vault and a conversation with Pulitzer Prize finalist Max Boot. You can find the entire past episode wherever you're listening to this podcast. Do you think history is linear or circular?
I'm not sure that it's either linear or circular. I don't think history has any real logic to it. I think it's kind of just one damn thing after another. To some extent, you can, obviously, as a historian, you have to go back and with the advantage of hindsight, you can draw trends out. But, what they really amount to, very hard to say. I mean, you can certainly, look at the big picture view, which is that democracy and freedom have been on the rapid rise over 200 plus years. I mean, when the United States was founded, it was one of the few democracies in the world. And even by current standards, it wouldn't be considered democracy because, women didn't have the vote, African Americans didn't have the vote. So it was really a minority of the population that had the vote. And then, of course, the franchises expanded. We became a much better democracy. And now democracy is under siege again. So, it really depends on kind of what aperture you use. I mean, if you look at the sweep of history over 200 years, you can say that, monarchies have disappeared, dictatorships have come and gone, but the number of liberal democracies has vastly expanded. That's true. But then if you look at like just the last 15 years, you can say, oh, goodness, the trends are negative because the number of people living under liberal democracy has declined. So, I mean, you can kind of draw trends out, but it's a somewhat artificial process. And I don't think that history has any inevitable destination. It's really whatever we make out of it.
Thank you so much for spending some time with me today and helping make this little show such a mighty success. If you are enjoying this show and would like to help with its production, you can always donate a few dollars at buymeacoffee.com or become a Patreon member to enjoy these episodes ad-free. Both links can be found on the website at www.historyshortspodcast.com. Have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you all again tomorrow.